Hey, what's up? So I took the things that I like about clam chowder and corn chowder and kind of smashed them into a new soup. This version is way lighter and way less gloppy than a traditional chowder, and it only takes like 30 minutes to make. Oh, and there's no clams in it, but we'll get to that. This is Weeknighting. To get started, I'm gonna grab a large onion and give it what I've been calling the weeknight dice. For that, I'll chop off the north and south poles, then cut it in half vertically, top to bottom. I'll peel them, then slice them from one pole to the other 5 to 6 times. Then I'll turn it 90 degrees and give it a nice lazy dice like this. In total, I'm looking for 250 to 275 grams of onions for this soup. Next, I'm gonna grab a medium bulb of fennel and then chop off the frondy top and then cut in half from pole to pole. From there, I'll cut 2 slits into the base of each side and zip out the woody core, and then I'll chop it pretty much the same way as I did for the onion. In my mind, fennel is a total power move when it comes to soup bases, especially ones with seafood like chowder and cioppino. That lightly sweet anisey flavor of fennel mellows and melts into the background of any soup, and I really love it. It's kind of like fancy celery. I need 150 grams total. Once that's all diced up, I'm gonna grab 5 cloves of garlic and then give them a smash and then a rough chop. Feel free to use the garlic press if you find that easier, but I already have my cutting board and knife dirty, so I'm just gonna use them to mince. Now, the last veggie here is actually a tuber called a potato, and for chowder, I think Yukon gold potatoes are the only way to go. Reds are too waxy and russets are way too mealy. I've tried this recipe with both of them, and they just don't work like the good old Yuki G. Once I've got 4 to 5 of these small-ish Yukon Golds peeled, I'm going to cut them into a rough medium dice. And yes, I am aware that medium is a very relative term, so I would say go for the size that allows you to get 1 or 2 pieces to fit easily on your favorite soup spoon. In total, 4 medium small Yukon Golds like this should yield 650 to 700 grams of potato. I've got 700 grams here. Once my veg is all prepped, I'm going to grab my 6.5 quart Dutch oven and preheat it over medium heat. Once that's preheated, in goes a long squeeze of olive oil, let's call it 25 grams. Then in goes 275 grams of onion and 150 grams of fennel. Strong pinch of salt. Then I'm going to stir to combine and sweat these vegetables for 3 to 4 minutes to soften them and to release their moisture. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I say the word sweat, it basically means to cook vegetables with salt over low heat to release their water. There should be no caramelization going on when you sweat veggies. After about 3 minutes, once things have gotten a little bit cooked down like this, in goes my garlic. 5 cloves is going to be about 20 grams. That's going to get stirred in, and I'm going to keep on sweating this veg for another 2 minutes or so. At that point, the garlic is no longer going to be raw, and the whole setup is going to be ready for the wet stuff. Speaking of that, 2 minutes later, in goes 1 whole box of store-bought stock, or exactly 907 grams. This is chicken stock, but vegetable stock would definitely work as well. Behind that comes 125 grams of heavy cream. In this chowder, the combo of pureed cooked potatoes and a few splashes of cream is going to replace the need for a roux and not only make the soup gluten-free, but also keep it a lot brighter and lighter, in my opinion. Next, I'll add in all 700 grams of my Yukon Gold potatoes, then 200 grams of frozen corn, and then lastly, 240 grams or 1 bottle of clam juice. In my cooking, I use clam juice as an all-purpose seafood stock for most things that require it. It's pretty cheap, it's a little bit briny, and it has that pleasant oceany thing that I want in the background of my soup. Once everything's in the pot, I'm going to give it a strong pinch of salt and then stir it all to combine. Now I'm going to bring the chowder to a gentle simmer, then lower the heat to medium-low and cook with the lid on for 20 to 25 minutes. While that cooks, it's time to sort out the fishy part of this chowder. For that, I've got 12 ounces or 300 to 350 grams of fresh Atlantic cod. If you're wondering, you could use frozen cod if you wanted. The frozen stuff is just a little bit less sweet and fresh tasting overall, and it tends to flake more in the soup. Both fresh and frozen are good options, but I tend to avoid Pacific cod because it's a less quality eating fish in my opinion. Once I've got that cod sliced into 1-inch strips like this, I'm going to come back and cut those strips into a medium large dice like this. If you're not into cod, you could add in some salmon here as well. I've done that before and liked it a lot, or you could add in some shrimps. Either way, I'd cut them both into roughly the same size. Once that's cut, I'm going to hit it with a small pinch of salt, roughly a 1/4 teaspoon. This little bit of salt is going to give the fish a quick cure that will not only season the flesh so it's not bland, but also firm it up so that when it's cooked, it's not going to flake into oblivion. Once that's salted, I'm going to scoop it into a little BB container like this and then throw it into the fridge while I take a second to thank the sponsor of this video, Noom. Noom is a health program created by behavioral psychologists that's designed to teach you how your mind works and why you make the decisions you do when it comes to food and your health. I personally started using Noom over the summer after a particularly brutal few months of poor diet and basically no exercise at all. I didn't really need to lose a ton of weight though. I just needed to not gain any more and find my motivation again. Since July, Noom has helped me to casually lose 5 pounds, get to the gym 3 days a week, and rock climb 2 days a week. Honestly, the thing that helped me get there the most were the daily lessons. I listened to the Tame Your Inner Elephant one quite a few times because it teaches you about what your triggers are and how they lead you to the behaviors that you do. When I'm feeling stressed, for example, when recipe development isn't going well or I have some stupid technical issue with a video, I used to just reach for snacks to solve that problem. But thanks to Noom, I can now fight that urge more often than not. So to give Noom a try, go to noom.com/Brian Lagerstrom or click the link in my description and take your free 30-second quiz. Noom has brought a lot of mindfulness to my eating and I'm better off for it. So take your 30-second quiz by clicking the link in my description. I still have a few minutes until my chowder is done simmering. So quickly, I'm going to show you guys a very, very optional but delicious buttery oyster cracker. For that, into my food processor goes 30 grams of cold butter, 160 grams of all-purpose flour, 5 grams of salt, 5 grams of sugar, and 3 grams of baking powder. The lid goes on and I'm going to spin this up until the butter is broken down and well combined with everything else. From there, I'm going to stream in 70 grams of cool water and continue to spin this for 30 seconds or so, or until things start to whip around the jar like this. You could definitely mix this by hand in a bowl. I would say use a fork to incorporate the butter into the flour and then add the cold water. But for me, a food processor is a lot faster and I don't mind washing the extra dish. The move from here is to just push this into a rough dough ball and then give it a few quick kneads, maybe 15 or so, and there we go, oyster cracker dough. It's simple enough. I'm going to cover this with a towel and let it rest for a few seconds so I can check back on the progress of my soup. This has been simmering over here for about 15 minutes, and at this point I'm going to do a preliminary check-in to see if the potatoes are as tender as they should be. The way I do that is by trying to smush one against the side of the Dutch oven and yeah, that is not tender enough. These potatoes need to be fully cooked because some of them are going to be pureed. And I'll show you in a second what happens when you puree potatoes that have uncooked starch. Let's check back in 10 more minutes. Back to the crackers. I'm going to hit this dough with a light dusting of flour on both sides, then grab a rolling pin and dust that up as well. Now I'm going to roll this out into a rough 1/8 inch sheet. I say rough here because it doesn't really matter that much at all. This is a very rudimentary cracker situation, and as long as they are kind of thin, they're going to work well. After less than a minute of rolling these out, I've got something that is pretty close to 1/8 of an inch. So now I'm going to cut these up. Using my chef's knife, I'm going to cut this dough into roughly a 1/2 inch or 1.5 centimeter strips, then cut the other way to get them into cute little squares. There we go. Fluff them up and scoot them onto a sheet tray with some parchment paper. And now I'm going to load these into a preheated 375 F190C oven and bake them for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, these oysters have puffed up nicely and they're lightly golden brown. To finish cooking these, I'm going to turn my oven off and then prop the oven door, in this case with a cheese grater, because I guess that's what you use. And I'm going to let these dry out and crisp up a little bit even more while I finish my chowder. Back at the stove, this soup's been cooking at a bare simmer for about 25 minutes, and now it's time to check the potatoes for doneness one more time. This one smushes easy enough against the side. I'll try a few more. These look good, and I'll call that done. These potatoes are perfectly in that sweet spot of being all the way tender, but in no way are they mushy or falling apart. The next move is to puree. So for that, I'm gonna scoop about half of the soup into a blender jar while trying to get a high ratio of cooking liquid in there as well so that things puree easily. Now I'll pop a lid on this base and then spin it up on high speed for 20 to 30 seconds. The thickening power of potatoes is relatively variable based on the exact batch of potatoes you're using, so I've allowed for some leeway liquid-wise, and if you need it, don't feel shy about adding it. If you wanted to use an immersion blender instead of a regular blender here, you could do that depending on the size and tallness of the pot. I would recommend scooping out about half of the potato veg mixture with a spider or strainer and then spinning the rest of the liquid and vegetables together until they're smooth. This does not work well in my Dutch oven though, and it doesn't really get as smooth as I'd like, so I'm using the Vitaprep. After 20 to 30 seconds on high speed, I've got a creamy, luxurious, but not heavy background texture for my chowder. Let's cut to what happens when your potatoes are slightly undercooked and you puree them. All that ungelatinized potato starch makes a super viscous and kind of slimy soup. It's really hard on your blender too. I've seen a lot of kids in the restaurant burn out super expensive blenders this way when making potato leek soup. All I'm saying is beware and make sure that your potatoes are cooked well, and you'll have a really nice result. Now that puree is going to go back into my soup pot with everything else, and I'll stir it all to combine. Right away, I can tell this is a little bit thick here, so I'm going to add in about 200 more grams of water. I didn't want to go too large on the liquid part up front because it's easy easy to add water at this point if it's too thick, but impossible to take it out if it's too thin. So an important step here is checking the viscosity. Once the soup falls off the ladle in a nice, loose, natural, soupy way like this, it's time to finish it off. The heat goes back to low, and now I'll grab my cod plus a secret ingredient from the fridge. I'll flip in all the cod, that's 12 ounces or about 325 grams, and then in goes 100 grams or a whole can of chopped smoked oysters. These bring a ton of depth of flavor and mystery to this soup. They're lightly smoky and full of nice, mellow minerality. Feel free to skip these though, or add in canned clams if that's more your speed. I really dig smoked oysters, so they're going in. To get these ready for the pot, I rinsed off any oil that was sitting on them from the can. That stuff is flavorful and useful, but if too much of it got into the soup, it would be overly smoky. I see how the look of these could probably bum you out and turn you off from using them, but take my word for it that these are a real delicacy and they make this soup better. They do look rugged as hell though, I will admit that. Now, while the chowder is at just below a simmer, I'm gonna stir the seafood in and rewarm the oysters and actually cook the cod. That's gonna take about 2 minutes. When I check back, you can see that the cod has gone from fully translucent to opaque and can be flaked apart. That happens fast. Before I tie this all together, I want to check on my oyster crackers one more time. When I pull them out, you can see that they're fully dehydrated now and very crisp. Going homemade with these is absolutely not necessary in any way because regular oyster crackers taste pretty good, it turns out, but these ones are very delicious. They're super buttery and even kind of biscuity, worth the time. Set those aside, and now there's 2 final details that I need to check in on before I eat this chowder. The first is to double check that the soup is loose and not too thick like this. I really hate gloppy soup, and this is our last chance to adjust that. The second and most important detail for finishing this soup is to give it a taste for salt. I think it needs maybe 2 more pinches like this. I'll stir it in, give it another taste, deliberate on it thoughtfully. Yes, that tastes delicious. Now the pot's gonna go back onto low heat because in my opinion, as a chef, soup should be served at almost burn your mouth temperature. That's when you're doing it really pro. Garnish wise, I like to hit this thing with some nice round tasting olive oil, then some minced chives, and a serious amount of those oyster crackers. If you bought store ones, now would be the time to throw those in. That would make this recipe even easier. The last step here is some cracked black pepper, and serve it with some crusty bread and some lemon wedges. To me, this soup hits on all of the emotions of what chowder should be. It's creamy, it has a light oceany flavor to it, and it's full of delicious soft textures. Add in a bite of sogged up oyster crackers that are super buttery, and all of a sudden you're partying pretty hard for a weeknight, you guys. I hope you try it soon. Let's eat this thing.